U.S. markets reel amid tariff ghost revived by Trump administration. Washington, D.C. Once again, the specter of protectionism has returned, casting a long shadow over Wall Street and global financial centers. Former President Donald Trump's decision to impose new tariffs on imported goods has triggered a wave of negative reactions across U.S. financial markets. In just a few trading sessions, major indexes such as the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P 500 have plummeted. On the day the tariffs were announced, the Dow tumbled by more than 800 points, marking one of its worst drops in months. Both the NASDAQ and S&P 500 followed suit, as investors fled tech and manufacturing stocks. This isn't just a knee-jerk reaction. The market is pricing in long-term fears over supply chain disruptions and rising costs for American businesses, noted a financial analyst at Morgan Stanley. The biggest concern now is the likelihood of retaliatory tariffs from key trading partners such as China, the EU, and Canada. The looming threat of a full-scale trade war is eroding investor confidence just as the economy begins to recover from the pandemic. Major tech firms like Apple, Tesla, and Intel, heavily relying on overseas components, have seen their stock prices tumble. Meanwhile, U.S. Treasury yields are surging as investors seek safe havens, driving up borrowing costs for businesses. Historically, the tariff measures implemented during Trump's 2018 to 2019 trade policies slowed U.S. GDP growth and pushed consumer prices higher. That scenario now threatens to repeat itself at a time when the post-COVID recovery remains fragile. We're heading down a dangerous path, risking long-term economic stability for short-term political gain, one analyst remarked on Bloomberg. Adding to the pessimism, the Federal Reserve may face heightened inflationary pressures from rising input costs, further narrowing its ability to adjust interest rates as needed. At this point, the question is no longer whether the market will recover, but rather how much worse it will get. Global powers react strongly to U.S. tariff move. Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump's decision to impose sweeping new tariffs has triggered a wave of sharp criticism and retaliatory measures from major global powers, sparking fears of an escalating trade war and a broader economic downer. China, swift and aggressive retaliation. Immediately after the U.S. announced its tariff policy, China responded by slapping a 34% tariff on all U.S. imports starting April 10th. In addition, Beijing has restricted the export of rare earth materials and suspended poultry imports from several American firms, citing food safety concerns. China also filed a formal complaint with the World Trade Organization, WTO, accusing the U.S. of engaging in unilateral actions that undermine global trade stability. AP News. European Union. Firm warning of retaliation. The European Union expressed deep regret over the U.S. decision, stressing the importance of open markets and adherence to international trade rules. The EU warned it would respond firmly should the U.S. impose tariffs on European goods. Euronews. Canada strikes back with tariffs and warnings. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a 25% tariff on $21 billion worth of American goods, including alcohol, home appliances, and lumber. He emphasized that Canada will not back down, warning that no one wins in a trade war. CNN. Mexico, defensive measures underway. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum stated that Mexico would unveil both tariff and non-tariff measures to safeguard national interests. She emphasized that Washington's unilateral actions hurt both Mexican businesses and citizens, and reiterated that no one benefits from such decisions. CNN. Japan and South Korea call for diplomacy. Both Japan and South Korea voiced serious concern over the U.S. move and are actively seeking diplomatic dialogue to mitigate potential fallout. Leaders from both countries noted that protectionist measures could severely harm regional economic ties and long-standing strategic alliances. AP News. Conclusion. President Trump's tariff announcement has unleashed a storm of global backlash, fueling rising tensions and threatening the foundations of international economic cooperation. A growing list of retaliatory measures underscores just how swiftly trade partners are responding. As tit-for-tat actions continue to mount, the world braces for what may become a prolonged and destabilizing trade conflict.